You didn't sign up to be a hygiene police officer. You signed up to lead, to develop people, to build a team that wins. But here you are, dodging conversations about odor, staring at stained shirts, and listening to your team whisper while your credibility erodes in real time. So let's be honest here. This just isn't awkward, it's destructive. And you can't correct what you refuse to confront, and you can't lead when you're afraid to say what needs to be said. So, welcome to Difficult Employee Situations at Work, the series where we stop dancing around dysfunction and start talking like leaders. Every week, I tackle the kind of issues that no one prepares you for, but every leader will eventually face. And in this week, we're diving into one of the most uncomfortable and most urgent topics, and that is when hygiene becomes a leadership problem. You're going to hear my real stories. You're going to get tactical advice and walk away with the exact words to say in one of the toughest conversations you will ever have in your leadership career. I'm not here to shame anyone, especially you. I'm here to equip you. Now, my name is Brenda Neckbottle, and I help the strongest leaders deal with the messiest people. And in this case, literally. Now, I've been dealing with difficult people problems as an HR pro for over 30 years and 18 years of them in Fortune 500 environments. Now, here's where you get to take my experience and develop your leadership skills. So, if you're ready to take that bold step to lead through the mess instead of just managing around it, subscribe to this channel because every episode will give you the tools that you need to lead with strength and clarity. Like this video if you ever had to deal with a messy situation no one warned you about. Save it so you're ready the next time leadership starts getting real, and share it with a friend or colleague who's struggling to say and do the one thing that could change everything for them. Now, let's talk about what everyone in the office knows, but no one wants to say. You're in a meeting, you're trying to stay focused, and suddenly it hits you. The smell, the distraction, the discomfort. It walks into the room before the person does, and everyone shifts in their chairs. Eyes dart. People breathe through their mouths and pretend like it's not a big deal. But it is a big deal because while you're pretending it doesn't matter, it erodes respect, it's killing morale, and it's slowly wrecking your team's ability to perform. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you're a leader, it's your job to address it. Now, I know this topic makes people squirm. Bad hygiene, that feels very personal. And you're right, it does. It feels like it's taboo. And you're right, sometimes it is. But you don't want to offend anyone. You don't want to overstep. And that's what's going through a lot of people's minds. But let me offer you this. Silence doesn't protect them, it isolates them. And it teaches the rest of your team that dysfunction gets a pass when it's something that's uncomfortable to deal with. That's not compassion, that's cowardice wrapped in politeness. And in this episode is going to give you what you want that you need to face with courage, care, and clarity. Because if you don't say that thing, you become part of the problem. So let's go back to a real life story I handled in a consulting call one time. I call this the funk no one wanted to face. And this guy that they were dealing with was brilliant. I mean, we're talking like high level software engineer, problem solver, very creative thinker, really creative thinker. And he was able to take the company literally into the next level. The problem is that he smelled. He had an odor like he hadn't bathed in weeks. And it wasn't a one-off thing. It was a daily presence that impacted every person he came near. Now, he started to leave sweat stains on conference chairs. His clothes were starting to discolor in certain areas, and his breath had a wall to it, like someone had opened a sour milk jug in the heat. Coworkers stopped engaging with him. They stopped inviting him to team brainstorm meetings, of which he needed to be part of. People literally started to schedule meetings around avoiding this one person because it was so bad. Now, here's the kicker. He had no idea. He literally thought that people were avoiding him because of his introverted personality. He saw it. And the truth is that no one had ever told him about it. His manager finally called me in to help handle it when it started to become a retention issue, not because of the hygiene, but because he realized the rest of the team was fed up, and he learned that some of them were actually ready to leave the company. In fact, they were already interviewing at other businesses. So by the time that he was able to address it, the damage was already done. The employee was humiliated, and not because he was told, but because his manager waited too long to tell him, and he could see the shift the entire time. The kindness that he needed came far too late. Now, my next story deals with a really awesome person, but I call it the customer facing catastrophe, right? Unfortunately, this one actually hit the company's bottom line. And there was a high energy front desk rep everybody loved. She was always smiling, always engaging. And suddenly she started having, out of nowhere, chronic halitosis, but it was coming from her dental implants. And it was so bad that the clients would lean back during mid-conversation with her at the desk, right? Even the staff had tried passive approaches by offering her mints, giving her gums, kind of cracking jokes a little bit, and even spraying air freshener in the break room after she left. But no one took it serious enough to address it directly until a client left a negative Google review. They said, "Loved the services, staff was great, but the woman at front made it impossible to focus. Her breath was awful." Believe it or not, that review actually cost them one major referral contract. And it's hard to believe that something like that would happen, but the leaders were very, very quick at first to blame the sales team for a weak close on the deal. But the reality is, people made the decision on what they feel long before they decided anything that's based on logic. And in this case, that feeling in that room wasn't trust. It wasn't disconnect. It was discomfort. Discomfort that was never addressed. It was never acknowledged, and it was never corrected by the people who were supposed to lead her. Now, that deal didn't fall through because of poor product knowledge or because of bad pricing. It fell through because no one had the guts to have a conversation that could have preserved the brand and the person. And I'm going to be honest with you, as somebody who has multiple businesses, I have seen people make the weirdest decisions over things that seem inconsequential to somebody else, but they mean a lot to that person. Right? You don't lose business because you have problems. You lose it when you refuse to solve them. So now we're not talking about awkwardness. Now we're talking about revenue. We're talking about reputational damage. Leadership scrambled. And when they finally had the conversation with her, guess what she said? "I've been dealing with a dental condition and didn't want to burden anyone. But if somebody had just told me, I would have explained it." She wasn't offensive about having the conversation. In fact, she was relieved. She said that the hardest part, though, for her was knowing that the very people that she enjoyed working with were actually talking behind her back and not to her face. Say the thing. Say the thing. Now, the last story I want to share with you, I call the break room backfire. And this one, I'll be honest with you, this one makes me shake my head. It does make me a little bit nauseous. But one of my clients had a warehouse tech, super smart, very young guy, detail oriented to a point. But when it came to his personal hygiene, he was a total disaster about it. This is a very dirty environment. Warehouse work is never clean, and it's not highly air conditioned, especially for this company. Now, he'd show up in sweat-drenched shirts. He would eat his lunch at his desk, and he would leave crumbs on shared keyboards. He would never wash his hands. He would never wipe anything down, and he literally had no spatial awareness. It wasn't just gross, it actually started to become unsanitary. Now, people, his coworkers, were concerned that they would start getting sick. And HR was concerned about getting reports about stomach bugs and potential rashes from shared equipment. Now, eventually, his supervisor pulled him aside. And you know what he said? What the employee's response of when he was approached by it? He goes, "Well, my last job didn't care. Like, nobody told me that this was a problem before." Translation, he didn't know the standard because no one said it. He wasn't trying to be gross. He was unexposed to professionalism. And I'll be honest, not everybody grows up with parents that teach good hygiene habits or good life habits, right? He was young and barely out of high school. And your job as a leader, see, he agrees with me, barking in the background there, is not to judge it, is to correct it. Now, can we agree that ignoring something just because it makes you uncomfortable isn't leadership. It's fear in a nice suit, and fear doesn't build great teams. This isn't about shame, it's about standards. You are not being mean by addressing hygiene. You're not being controlling. You are defending the standard your team has to live under. And here's what I tell leaders every time with this: be compassionate. You don't know what they're going through. Be straightforward because it's the most compassionate, honest thing you can do for somebody. Don't hint, don't tiptoe, don't be judgmental, and don't be snarky. Be firm. You are setting a standard, you're not asking them for a favor. Then offer support. Let them know how to contact the Employee Assistance Program and let them know that it's available and it's confidential. And you can say it like this: if something personal or medical is going on, we have resources. Our EAP is 100% confidential and they can help you work through this privately. Set the expectation and reinforce the standard. Don't refer back to policy because that's just hiding behind words on paper and it's weak. Your employees will lose trust in you quickly and they're going to see right through it. Stop pretending avoidance is neutral. Avoidance is a decision, and here's what it costs you: trust. Your team will wonder what else you're ignoring. It'll cost you credibility. Your silence will make you look weak. And sensitivity is disguised as kindness. That was not going to come out easy. You think you're protecting your dignity, but you're actually letting them become the punchline. So here's what I want you to realize. If you don't say that thing, someone else will, and they'll say it with sarcasm. They're going to say it with eye rolls or do it behind somebody's back. And now you've got a culture problem. You've got a bigger conversation and a bigger issue to deal with. You're not just avoiding a conversation. You're allowing somebody to be humiliated without ever knowing why. So here's what you do, and here's how you handle it. First, you want to schedule the talk and do it privately. Don't wing this. Prepare your wording. Stay calm. Make the space for a good conversation. Say something like, this is a tough conversation and I want to handle it respectfully. I've noticed a pattern regarding your hygiene that we need to address. You don't have to tell the employee that coworkers are complaining. You're the leader. And if you notice it, address something like this from your observations, right? Keep your team out of it because all that does is build resentment from that one employee that you're talking to towards everyone else. That's on you. Okay. Avoid metaphors. This is no place for humor. None. So be very clear. Okay. Second is set the bar. Then you want to raise it. Let them know what's expected. So here's what you can say. Hygiene is a part of our standard. It's not personal, it's professional. And you need to work on this starting right now. Give them the dignity of directness because people would rather feel uncomfortable for 60 seconds than unemployable for 6 months. The third thing that you can do is offer them help without judgment. A lot of hygiene issues actually stem from things like mental health, medical issues, cultural misunderstanding, lack of training or modeling. Okay, so here's how you address it. You say, if this is related to something bigger like stress, health, or finances, our EAP is here to help. It's confidential and it's there for moments like this. Now, you also may be entering into an ADA situation, which you need to either contact your HR professional or you can reach out to this one right here and we'll walk through it, right? But this is your moment. Leadership isn't earned in your wins. It's earned in your willingness to face what others avoid. So the next time you walk into a room and your instincts are screaming, I don't want to deal with this, remember, you're not paid to feel good. You're paid to make things better. So make it better. Say that thing. If this message hits you in the chest, good. And I say that lovingly because that means you're the kind of leader who gives a damn and you care. So here's what I want you to do. Like this video, save it, share it. Follow this channel for more real, raw, practical leadership tools. And then go to heybrenda.com and take the Impact Scripts course. This is my gift to you to get immediate results dealing with difficult people and difficult employee situations at work. And it's free. Okay, it's going to give you exact phrases how to handle difficult people at work with clarity, with confidence, and then also with compassion. Because this right here, this is what real leadership looks like.